hello. Thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out.
Let's do it.
Welcome to The Swimming Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
Bam! Good evening and welcome to The Swimming Pool, SWYM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean. Here's a question for you. Are you saying what you mean? Are you meaning what you are saying? I'm going to give you a second to think about it. You thought about it? Okay. Well, if you are not, this would be a good time to start because it's so important. Why is it so important? Because it eliminates confusion. It eliminates, just your own frustration. So if you haven't been saying what you mean and meaning what you say, allow this to be the season that you start to do it. Let me tell you how I've been able to do it. First of all, think before you speak. Use words that say what you mean. I like to talk about universal principles, points of references, and the law. There are words that are already established in the dictionary. I know some people don't believe in the dictionary, but it is considered a standard, a social norm to look at words as they have been accepted in terms of what they mean. So if you are intelligent and you want to exercise your intelligence, you can use words that mean exactly what you say. So even if someone think they may have heard something else, you can say, well, that's not what I said, because oftentimes this is what I have experienced. Many conversations are based on how a person feels instead of what they actually hear, because emotions are so strong, they're so powerful, and you can be the clearest speaking person in the world. You can be saying what you mean, and you can be talking to someone else and they will respond based on how they feel. And even if you say, but that's not what I said, then they'll say something like, well, you didn't have to say it. Well, it happens all the time. So I have just jumped on the bandwagon of trying to practice what I preach and reminding myself, as well as anyone that I encounter, to say what you mean and listen carefully, because from out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. People really say what they mean, and communication gives us the opportunity to clarify. That's what good communication is. Anytime you're vexed in your spirit, vexed is a word I learned a few years ago. Anytime you're uncomfortable, anytime you're at odds with someone, especially someone you care about, a family member, a significant other, anytime there are any odds, you clearly have some work to do. That does not mean if someone is crazy, if someone has insulted you, or if someone is violating you in any kind of way. By all means, get away from those people, protect yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you just don't like something someone said or the way they said something, or for whatever reason, if you're vexed with someone that you know and believe is a good person, find a way to open the door or leave a door open for an opportunity to communicate, because we should not go around in our own thoughts when we have the opportunity to clear the air. How did I get on that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it's Wednesday night. This is my typical night that I would actually do my live stream whenever I was doing it regularly. I stopped for various reasons, and now I at least think about it every Wednesday night. And I get a call every now and then from a couple of my supporters that say, hey, are you coming on? And if I say yes or no, whatever, they would always encourage me. So I appreciate that. And so tonight is just one of those nights that I decided I would come on. And at this moment, I am okay with not having one soul listening, because that means if I do what one of my musician friends do, he said, what if you make a mistake? Then you can either delete it or erase it or hide it in some kind of way. But I am live, and I have a subject and a topic that I just could not avoid. It hit me like a ton of bricks when I heard it. I am a Stephen A. Smith fan. I'm not a crazy sports fan, but I know enough about sports from participating in my younger days to at least know what's going on when I hear the experts talking, or when I'm watching, particular games, and especially certain times of the season. The playoffs, are always a fun time for me. But with that being said, one of his subjects had to do with something that kind of hit home for me. And I'm going to play something very short that kind of sort of introduces what my topic is going to be. Then I'm going to get into his topic, and I'm going to do like some of my other YouTube favorites do. They will analyze, they will break down, they will stop something that they want to critique in whatever way. I don't know if I'm critiquing it as much as I am just bringing attention to it. So I'm going to play this clip. I want you to listen to it. And when it's over, it's about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes long. I'm going to come back. Then I'm going to get into what it is I'm going to get into. Okay? Stand by, and thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Okay? Listen.
Petition is granted.
The end of Brian Banks' ordeal was marked by tears after a judge threw out the rape charge that had sent him to prison for more than 5 years.
My only dream in the world was to just be free and to have the same opportunity as everybody here.
He was a 16-year-old star linebacker with a full-ride scholarship to USC and had dreamed to play in the NFL when in 2002, a classmate accused Banks of raping her in the stairwell of their Long Beach high school. Although Banks insisted it was consensual and there was no sex, he told KCBS-TV that his defense attorney at the time gave him a choice: plead no contest to rape or risk a trial that could send him to prison for life.
When you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager, and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty. Those are her exact words.
He took the deal, went to prison, and had to register as a sex offender. He thought that was the end of it. But after he was released, came a surprise: a friend request on Facebook from his accuser, Juanetta Gibson.
I remember closing the laptop just like real quick and just like thinking, like, what did I just see?
So Banks arranged a meeting with a private investigator who videotaped the whole thing. Gibson later explained she hadn't wanted to say that publicly for fear of losing a $1.5 million settlement that her family had gotten after suing the school district.
I may not ever get the answers as to why I was supposed to go through what I went through, but I know that I'm here today, and I remain unbroken.
Unbroken and working to get his life back on track. Those dreams of playing in the NFL, he says, might be realized yet. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Los Angeles.
It's very difficult to sit here and listen to that after it happened so many years ago without even tears in my eyes, because when you are falsely accused and you know you're innocent, but you have bullies, you have power mongers, you have people in high places that can frame you into guilt for their own good, it can be scary. I'm just going to go ahead and play the race card for just one moment. Just give me a second. When you're black, and when you're poor, and when you don't have certain representation, people know that. And if they can capitalize on that, they will at least try. And in this particular case, that's exactly what happened. This girl who lied and accused this young boy who had a wonderful future ahead of him, she saw where she could gain, and her attorneys saw where they could gain. So they figured, although we know that we don't have sufficient evidence, we can file this claim, we can scandalize his name, and if we win, our pockets can really be fat. So the person who represented this young girl filed this suit, follow through with it. The representative for Brian Banks was a part of the system. I'm just going to say it. Said, you heard what he said. They said, when you go into that courtroom, they're going to see a big, black, strong man, and you're going to automatically be assumed. That's what we call stereotyping, and it happens all the time. I look like Brian Banks, and I know what it feels like. Thank God I have not had any run-ins with any kind of serious legal issues, and I'm grateful. I'm just, thank God that I've been protected from that, because when the enemy is after you, I know the Bible says weapons may be formed, but they will not prosper. This is a prime example. But when you're going through that cross experience, it's not funny. It's not fun at all. And he lost 5 years of his life in prison, as well as a golden opportunity to play in the NFL. All because of what? Because a lie that was perpetrated through the system that's not necessarily designed to work for people that look like me and like him. So with that being said, I'm just going to move on. There are countless cases. I often like to talk about the Central Park Five who went through the same thing. Most of them looked like me. They went through a system that did not protect them. They did look like me, trying my best not to play that card. And they were poor. They did not have proper representation to get them through that situation. And the system was able to benefit by accusing and convicting them. And I think the last one, I think they spent like 13 years of their life only for the truth to surface. So when you're in that situation and you're innocent and you know that you're outnumbered by the system, the only thing you have to rely on is, first of all, your innocence and your honesty, your transparency. And you have to have, faith. I'm not a big religious person, but I do indeed believe there's a supreme being that is within all of us and that does have power, through, I'm not sure. I don't want to get into that. I do believe that good begets good and evil begets evil. And if you have enough good seed sown, you can reap a good seed harvest. So when you know that you're innocent and you're falsely accused and the odds are stacked against you, faith is a good thing to have because it has gotten many people through, including Brian Banks. I actually saw the movie. I saw other independent stories, and I know, I can only imagine how rough it was for him and countless others. Before I brought this broadcast on, I was like, gosh, what am I going to do? It's just hard. This hits too close to home for me not to at least say something about it. Well, who am I? I'm not a famous YouTuber. I'm just a guy with a little background in radio and who likes to talk, but for therapy. I'm here because I get to talk. I don't have a lot of friends. I just, kind of keep to myself. I consider myself a loner. But when I'm able to come on and share some of my experiences with hopes that someone will eventually hear it and be encouraged by it, it's the least I can do to share. So I have another story, and I want to talk about the title of my live stream. It's Stephen A. on Jay-Z, the big lie. I'm going to play this clip and I'm going to stop it in between. And when I stop it, I'm probably going to just talk like I'm kind of sort of narrating through it. Stephen A. did a fantastic job. Bless his heart. Way to go, Stephen A. But again, this hit home for me, and I just kind of want to break it down. I'm only going to be here, let's see, maybe a half an hour. But I just wanted to do this as what I would call a special edition. So this is it. I'm definitely going to be stopping and breaking this down and just talking about how unfair the system can be and is for some and certain types of people. So stand by. Here we go.
Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. Let me get into some pop culture, please. I'm not going to call this entertainment. The woman who accused Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs of raping her when she was 13 years old has dropped her lawsuit against both men.
Okay, in case you didn't know, Sean Diddy and Jay-Z had a suit filed against them by a young lady who said that they violated her when she was 13 years old. This was 4 months ago. Of course, Diddy has been in the news, and I will definitely not comment on that. All I'm doing is praying for that whole situation, not trying to judge anybody. But when those charges came out about Jay-Z, it was incredibly shocking for a lot of people because many people started to believe it. Once you say something and you say it on mainstream media, somehow or another, it at least tarnishes your name. And this person was able to do this to these two men. I'm going to keep it moving here.
Less than 4 months after it was filed, court records show that the suit was dismissed with prejudice, meaning the plaintiff cannot refile a suit.
So it was dismissed with prejudice, meaning, as he said, they can't file it again. So what happened was 4 months of their lives, of his life, was scandalized because someone thought they could either lie or get away with something. Of course, if that's true, shame on anyone who would violate anybody for any reason. So if you actually do something, then by all means, you should be held accountable for that. But if you didn't do something, you should not be able to be smeared, for 4 months or for however long. Brian Banks, all the other countless people, they even did time for false accusations. So I'm going to try not to talk too much. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to keep going.
The suit included disturbing details of how the woman was allegedly lured by a limousine driver outside the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards and assaulted by the two rappers at an after party. Jay-Z strongly denied the claims, and his attorney...
He strongly denied the claims. It didn't matter, though. Naturally, if someone is accused of something bad and wrong, naturally going to say, well, I didn't do it, even when they're guilty. But this man strongly denied the claims. And before his name got out there, somebody should have listened. Something should have happened. There's got to be something better in place to protect people whose names are scandalized like that. I guess there's something called slandering or, whatever it's called. But you should not be able to file a suit, especially if it ends up being frivolous, and get away with it. That girl filed a suit against Brian Banks. He went to prison saying he did not do that, falsely accused. And then after 5 years, in between there, she got $1.4 million for suing the school. She knew she was lying. The attorneys probably knew she was lying, but she collected that $1 million+ because the system worked in her favor. This man was, just by the grace of God, was able to capture that on video and was able to be exonerated. But 5 years of his life was shot, gone, and he could not get it back. And I want you to imagine what happened to her. And in case you didn't know, nothing happened to her. She was able to do that. She was able to collect the money. She was able to lie. He was able to spend that time in prison, and absolutely nothing, was not held accountable at all. So what would stop someone from making false claims if they think they can get away with it? The answer is absolutely nothing.
Attorneys had been seeking to get the case dismissed. In a statement on Saturday, Jay-Z, Sean Carter himself, said the claims were, quote, frivolous, fictitious, and appalling.
Frivolous, fictitious, and appalling. But who listened to him? No one. Why? Because it was clickbait information, good, dirty news on somebody. And you will find later that Stephen A. Smith says nobody really came to his rescue. Sometimes people will watch when they even know better. But again, I'm going to let it roll.
And called the suit a money grab. The statement continued. I would not wish this experience on anyone.
I'm going to go ahead and understand what he said. When you are falsely accused, not just in the court system, when someone actually thinks something about you. I was talking to one of my buddies earlier in the week, and we were just talking about not caring what people say. People say that so easily, especially people who go for bad. I don't care what they say or think about me. I'm a little different. I don't lose sleep and I don't worry, and what someone may say or think may not change my life, but it's hard for me to say I just don't care, because if I can make something right with someone, I'll try. But, of course, as the Bible says, when you go to someone and they don't want to listen or hear or make things right, of course you wipe the dirt off your feet and you move on. But I do care. And he said he would not wish that on anyone, his worst enemy. I can relate to that. So I'll keep going.
The trauma that my wife, my children, my loved ones, and I have endured can never be dismissed. This 1-800 lawyer gets to file a suit hiding behind Jane Doe.
1-800 lawyer. What he means by that is someone who sees an opportunity where they can disrupt someone's life by the system. See, there's a system. I have a subject, a topic, and a chapter in my book called The Law and the Truth. The Law and the Truth. It doesn't matter. There's a system that people can work if they know the law well enough. They can do anything they want to do. If you don't have money and or proper representation, you can get jammed up if someone knows the law, because the truth really is not at the forefront when it comes to the law. I found that out the hard way. Thank God that I was delivered from that evil also, but I didn't want to get into that too soon. But again, these lawyers saw an opportunity to use the system to their advantage, and they were on their way to dragging him through the mud, just like they did the Central Park Five, just like the system did Brian Banks and countless others. But Jay-Z was a little different in how he responded, simply because he did have some money and some power and some representation to help him before it got too bad. And I'm happy for him.
And when they quickly realize that the money grab is going to fail, they get to walk away with no repercussions.
And that's what bothers me. How do you get to create that kind of drama? And then when you realize your scam isn't going to work, you get to say, okay, never mind, don't worry about it. And then you walk away unscathed. Why is that right? Why is that fair? I guess that's why the Bible says vengeance is mine. And those who thought they got away with something, I can only imagine they cannot be sleeping at night knowing that they were lying, plotting, cheating, and trying to steal. But anyway, I'm going to try to stopping it. Anyway, go.
The court must protect victims, of course, while with the same ethical responsibility, the courts must protect the innocent from being accused without a shred of evidence. End quote. On Saturday, Combs' attorney said the suit dropped on Friday will be the first of many that will not hold up in a court of law. End quote. Jay-Z ain't that one.
The first of many that will not hold up. When they think they can work the system, they will do it based on their ability to do so. But when they realize they can't, somehow or another, they're just able to walk away. So not cool.
As far as I'm concerned, he did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't sit idly by and watch his name be raked through the coals and sullied the way they did.
That's because he could afford it. He had the representation. But there are many people who don't have that kind of representation. But when you've got as much money as him, you can at least fight back a little bit. So you're right. He did what he was supposed to do, and he did what he was able to do. Bless his heart.
Most of us would have. Most of us would have let our lawyers handle it. We would have shut up. We would have kept silent. He didn't do that. And I remember I was taking a lot of heat for coming to Jay-Z's defense. My initial question is, where the hell are y'all now?
That's my question.
And to the people who have smiled in Jay-Z's face, who were supposed to be his friends, who were supposed to be supportive of his, where y'all at? Where y'all at? let me be very, very clear. None of us were there. We don't know what happened or whatever the case may be. That's fair. And if you have a microphone and a camera in front of you, you have an obligation to say that. But in the same breath, what was I being attacked for? Ladies and gentlemen, if you would recall, what I said was,
you were being attacked because you stood in the way of some hot gossip. You actually did what you were supposed to do when you trust and believe in the character of someone who is innocent until proven guilty.
The man that I have known and I have been friends with for 25 years, there's no way I believe he's capable of something like that. See, the bigger issue is the damn punks that society has turned us into. You can say two things at once. You can say, I wasn't there, and I have no factual evidence to prove my position. But the person that I've known for 25 years, nah, I don't believe he would do that. I want a stake. I want to make sure that I'm clear because I got friends and loved ones and people like that in my life. If y'all ever handle some stuff with me, the way that some of these people handle this stuff with Jay-Z, y'all kiss my ass. And you go to hell. Because at the very least, somebody should be able to say, I've known Stephen A for 20, 25, 30 years, 40 years. What? Nah, I can't see him doing that. You just gonna go silent and just leave him hanging like that? When it ain't like he was silent, it ain't like he hiding and leaving others to talk for him. No, he spoke and said, I'm innocent. This is not true.
Because he was able to. His money made him, gave him a voice. I got a message that, my video may have been paused. If it was, I apologize for that. Maybe I'll have to do this over again. But back to my point. Yes, people were quiet. People were waiting to see what was going to happen because nothing like some good juicy news, especially on someone high and at the top like that. But he said he spoke up, and I guess that's good. Anyway, I'll keep going.
And nobody can stand up and say, nah, I that brother that I know, I can't see that. A 13-year-old girl. Yes, you are guilty. You are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And we understand that in a court of public opinion, it's shifted in this day and age. You know what the sad part is? Some of you out there might have believed Jay-Z was totally innocent, but you know what? It wasn't clickbait to say that. So what you wanted to do was throw it out there and give a reaction for clickbait purposes. That's sad. It really, really is.
Very sad.
If I'm Attorney Busby, I watch my back. Because Jay-Z coming. I don't believe for 1 second that Jay-Z's going to sit idly by and stop there. I don't believe it.
And I hope that he doesn't. I hope that he's able to make an example out of people who will do that. Because whether you're an attorney or just a regular individual, you should not be able to sick people on other people for a payday. And I believe that's why the attorneys did it. They thought they could get a payday. Whole different story.
I don't believe it. You don't have to hang out with people. Everybody, oh, Stephen A, you name drop, you trying to act like you cool. Well, where they, you know how many times I've been to 40-40? You know how many times me and Jay-Z were hanging out in the back with OG Juan and the rest of the crew? Talking sports, hanging out, playing cards, playing fantasy football or whatever it is. You know how many times I've been around these people? You know how, you don't know who I know. You don't know who anybody knows. But you don't have to be around people every day. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my best friends in the world is my boy Poolie. You know Poolie that love the big women? You got to be a minimum of 250 pounds for him to look at you. Beyonce could be in front of his face and he'd be like, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? She's too small. That Poolie. Poolie was raised in Hollis, Queens with me. I'm lucky if I see Poolie once a year. Once a year. I'm lucky if we talk more than 5 times a year. The one thing you will never hear me say is that there's somebody on this planet Earth that is my best friend over him. I grew up with him. I've known him for over 50 years. 55, actually. That's my dog. I don't give a damn if I don't see him or I don't talk to him as much. I love my brother. And if he ever needs me, I'm only a call away. This notion that you got to hang out with people and got to fraternize all the time and got to be in front of their face all the damn time for them to be friends, y'all know that's not true. I've known Jay-Z for 25 years. I never believed he was guilty of such a thing. Ever. It's a damn shame.
And whether you believe it or not, to actually, in your mind or your heart, even accept something like that before it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, you probably should not be doing that. It's just not cool. It's not nice. And until it happens to you, you can't even fathom this. I know some of you, some of us, we have such squeaky clean images that we can't imagine it. But don't think you're beyond someone betraying you, because you're not.
That the only voice I heard say that was myself. I don't give a damn if I don't see him or I don't talk to him as much. I love my brother. And if he ever needs me, I'm only a call away. This notion that you got to hang out with people and got to fraternize all the time and got to be in front of their face all the damn time for them to be friends, y'all know that's not true. I've known Jay-Z for 25 years. I never believed he was guilty of such a thing. Ever. It's a damn shame that the only voice I heard say that was myself. It's pretty messed up.
Mm-hmm.
He's a better man than me, though. He'll probably move on. I wouldn't forget any of y'all asses.
None of you.
Wouldn't do much, wouldn't say much. But I'd know you. And you'd know I know you.
Mm-hmm.
To Jay, Beyonce, and the family, hope y'all continue to live life wonderfully and prosperously. I'm glad this specific ordeal is over.
Me too.
And I hope you never have to deal with anything like this again. That's all I got to say, because anything else I say, I might just cuss people out. Can't speak up for nobody. That's how much punks we are in this day and age. Can't speak up for anybody.
And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close. But before I do, this hit home for me because something similar happened to me and I could relate to it. And as he said in the end, there were people who did not come to my rescue, who knew what I was dealing with. They sat still and they watched me. And I remember who you are. And I know that you know I know who you are. There were many people who I guess could have done or said something, but they didn't. The only thing I had to rely on is the same thing I'm relying on even at this very moment. My truth, my innocence, and the faith that I have in the one who holds all power. Sometimes that's all you have, and it's the only thing you need. Did I have a lot of money? Nope. Did I choose to get representation? Nope. I actually had some information in advance. Brian Banks had to wait until 5 years of his life was wasted in order to get the truth. Well, I had the truth, and I just waited for that awesome day that I would be able to unleash that fire on those who tried to unleash it on me. Fortunately, you did the same thing that Jay-Z's accusers did. They realized that the payday was not going to be a payday, And instead of going through the clown show, the circus, they decided they would drop the charges because they knew nothing would happen to them. What a shame. But as Stephen A. said, I hope he doesn't just sit still. I hope he does come after those and make an example of them, because you should not be able to try to use the system against people who can't or don't know how to fight for themselves. Again, this hit home for me. Thank God I was delivered and set free from lies and false accusations. And I'm grateful to be able to be sitting here, because if the enemy had its way, I would probably have some mud and dirt on me. I know for sure that just because a weapon is formed, that it definitely would not have prospered. But I do know what it felt like to have to go through months, and in my case, a few years of someone lying like a snake in the grass, waiting to strike, waiting to use the system against you because they think you don't know or think you have anyone to protect you. But if I could be religious for about 10 seconds, I trusted in God, and I trusted that I would be delivered from that snare that was set for me. And I'm happy that Jay-Z is out of that. I'm glad those charges were dropped. And for all the people who might be or who have gone through something similar to this, all I can say is I feel your pain. I know. And if you continue to trust and believe and stand firm on what you know to be the truth, just like many of those were delivered, you too will also be delivered. I'm going to go with that, but I do want to play this Brian Banks one more time, and I'm going to be out of here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for allowing me to have my therapy session. I'm doing pretty good. I've gone through a lot and I'm feeling pretty good. I was hanging out today, and I was in this one store that I frequent, and one of the guys was talking to the other guys. Of course, they were speaking in Spanish, but he was pointing and saying, look at this guy. And he was making like this because I've been, putting some time into myself and working out. But he was pointing in, he was touching my arms and saying, look at this guy's, arms. And of course, I'm an old man now, but I do the best I can at working out. After I heard that, it kind of made me puff my chest up a little bit more. And I came home and I went to the gym again and did some more arm exercises just because of that little pat on the back. So maybe I was looking for some validation and I got it, and I was motivated by it. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm sure there's some things that I wanted to say, especially about, my own personal experience about having people walk away, turn their back on you, betray you, and then you don't have the opportunity to clarify. But one thing I know for sure, stay firm, stay strong in your faith, and it all comes out in the end. I didn't know when that time would pass. Some things I go through, and even going through right now, I don't know when it's going to pass, but I am in my golden ages right now. And I have never, I think the Bible says, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. Well, in all of the times and struggles that I've gone through, I've never, ever, not once, not been delivered from all the smoke and fire and lions' dens and giants that I've faced. And it's not because I'm special, but it's because I think I know my heart and my faith is strong, and everything that I've gone through, what I'm going through right now, and what I will face in the future will all be covered. Gosh, man, I feel like I'm trying to preach a little bit. I just believe that I am going to be protected in any kind of storm, especially when you're right. My mother used to tell me, don't let me have to come out of that schoolhouse and you not be right. I've gotten in trouble a few times, and my mother had to come and deliver me. But anytime she had to come to my rescue, I didn't make her look bad because I was, doing something with my right hand and only showing my left. So the same thing happens when you're good, when you do the best you can, and you go to your Father in heaven, in my case, you know that you will be delivered because he has an advantage that my mother didn't have. Well, maybe she did. She knew her son. Otherwise, I don't think she would have told me what she told me, nor would she have shown up on my behalf to fight the battles that I couldn't. So with that being said, I don't want to ramble. I'm going to play this Brian Banks clip one more time. I just want to say in closing, I just think there's something should be done and people should be held accountable. You should not be able to, first of all, lie and use the system against people who are maybe a little less than you financially or may not know the law. You should not be able to throw a rock and hide your hand or hide behind the law or hide behind 1-800 attorneys, or I call them opportunistic bystanders, people who will see someone that they can get over on and then try it. I don't believe my situation is done. It's over. Thank God I've been delivered, but I have a feeling that I will get the opportunity to reveal and expose those dirty, sneaky, nasty, stinking, rotten snakes that tried to set a trap for me and those that I love. With that being said, I'm gonna play this Brian Banks. Find someone you need to say I love you to. Don't just say it. Show it. Mean it. Let it be true. And be strong, even when you're weak. Let the weak say I am strong. Let the poor say I am rich. Okay? Ciao.
Petition is granted.
The end of Brian Banks' ordeal was marked by tears after a judge threw out the rape charge that had sent him to prison for more than 5 years.
My only dream in the world was to just be free and to have the same opportunity as everybody here.
I just had to stop just to say that. He said his only dream is to be free. Who doesn't want to be free? Look at his face. I feel and I can relate to that pain. And I'm grateful that I did not have to endure what he went through. But what I did go through was my cross. That was his. We both made it to victory. But all he said was he wanted the same opportunity. He did not get the same opportunity. The system worked against him. It wasn't right. It wasn't fair. I'm going to say this. If you're listening to this right now and you know you have wronged somebody, don't rejoice in that good feeling that you have the upper hand on somebody who may not be as strong as you. Repent. Turn away from that. Make amends. Make it right. Fix it. Okay? Because if you don't, I'll just leave it at that.
He was a 16-year-old star linebacker with a full-ride scholarship at USC and had dreamed to play in the NFL when in 2002, a classmate accused Banks of raping her in the stairwell of their Long Beach high school. Although Banks insisted it was consensual and there was no sex, he told KCBS TV that his defense attorney at the time gave him a choice.
Listen to this. Listen to the choice he was given by someone who was defending him.
Plead no contest to rape or risk a trial that could send him to prison for life.
When you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty. Those are her exact words.
He took the deal, went to prison, and had to register as a sex offender. He thought that was the end of it. But after he was released, came a surprise. A friend request on Facebook from his accuser, Juanetta Gibson.
I remember closing the laptop just like real quick and just like thinking like, what did I just see?
So Banks arranged a meeting with a private investigator who videotaped the whole thing.
No, he did not.
Gibson later explained she hadn't wanted to say that publicly for fear of losing a $1.5 million settlement.
Did you hear that? She knew she was lying. She got some money for lying and would not tell the truth because she would lose the money that she got for lying. So she had no regard whatsoever for this man's life, for his lifestyle, for his image, until, and that's why I'm going to say, people think they're going to get away with the dirt. All you have to do sometime is apologize. She could have turned the money in. She could have given the money. She could have done so many other things other than look stupid.
That her family had gotten after suing the school district.
I may not ever get the answers as to why I may not ever get.
Explained she hadn't wanted to say that publicly for fear of losing a $1.5 million settlement that her family had gotten after suing the school district.
I may not ever get the answers as to why I was supposed to go through what I went through, but I know that I'm here today and I remain unbroken.
Unbroken and working to get his life back on track. Those dreams of playing in the NFL, he says, might be realized yet. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Los Angeles.
SWYM. Say what you mean. As much as this information is designed to bring awareness to how we listen, hear, and process, it is also a form of therapy. The little person inside of all of us needs to be heard. As adults, even listening to ourselves is a form of healing, strengthening, and growth. It's okay to speak, talk, express yourself, and be heard, even if you're the only listener. If our testimony does anything at all for anyone else, that makes the continued effort worth the time. Get the words out. You'll feel better, and that's a promise. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
You know, sometimes it seems like all the good times are gone, but you got to keep on searching.
You got to keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
For example, take me standing right here today. I would not be here with you if I believed the things that the people say. You got to keep on searching.
Keep on searching.
Keep it on the cool side.
Keep on looking around.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.